Morning, gifted crafters. It's crafting time.
I swear I can sew a straight line. Got me my buddy who can do it in no time. Hit the pedal to the metal, watch the stitches fly. That's my buddy, it's always by my side. So here's to my buddy, it's just me and my machine. Stitching our dreams, yeah, we make quite a team. Together we stitch, yeah, together we mend. Nothing is better than my sewing friend. So let me sew to my heart's content, stitching away till the fabric gets spent. Hypnotized up and down the needle goes, thread leaves the bobbin, so does my woes. So here's to my buddy, it's just me and my machine. Stitching our dreams, yeah, we make quite a team. Together we stitch, yeah, together we mend. Nothing is better than my sewing friend. There ain't no
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Good morning, Gifted Crafters, and welcome back to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Good morning out there. Well, today is Thursday, and we're getting closer and closer to the weekend, so hope you guys are getting excited. We've got people that tune in from all over the place, and my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and this is the channel where we talk about anything crafting, from sewing, quilting, crocheting, and so much more. We like to just kind of dabble in a little bit of everything and share all kinds of tips, tricks, and ideas with you guys. So let's see who we have out there this morning. Let's start off with Faker McFake. Good morning to you in lovely Louisiana. She says it's 57 degrees out there. Oh boy. Alrighty, Debbie Maddox. She said it's a little warmer today. It's 41 degrees. Oh boy, in Northeast Arkansas. We've got Barb Chumley. Good morning. Becky Chisholm from North Central Texas. She's reporting at about 47 degrees out there. She said it should warm up to about the mid-80s, which is really nice. Yeah, it's gotten really warmer around here too. I think it's about like 70, 74 outside right now. So that little cold snap, yeah, lasted about 2 days, but it was fun while we had it. Alrighty, good morning, Robin's Quilt Basket. Jenny Owens, good morning to you. Let's see, we've got Sharon Lemons, Autism RD, nice, from Texas. Good morning. Good morning, Connie and JBL. Good morning, Melissa Hutchkins from East Texas. Deborah Bile, good morning to you. And Nancy from Boston, good morning. Love your name. Let's see, from Richmond, Illinois. Let's see, we've got Lisa Lilly. We also have Georgette. Good morning to you. We've got Sue Galvin. Good morning. We've got Leslie B. Josmon from Lake Ridge, Virginia. Good morning to you. Cindy Ball from Michigan. Our friends from Canada are with us again. Yay. Good morning to you. And Flo, good morning from North Carolina, 44 degrees. From Tennessee, We've got River Rose. Good morning. Let's see. Batita, good morning to you. Gosh, there's just everyone. We just love to tune in the morning. And, you know, it's great that we guys get to kind of get together and do all kinds of fun things together. So if you're here for the first time, let us know in the chat or leave a comment, because we'd love to know and we like to welcome you guys in. So we are a great community and we really like to help each other out. Oh, righty. Yeah, good morning, Melinda. All right, so let's get started. I like to kind of start off every morning with a little toast. So grab yourself a cup of whatever it is you have in the morning, coffee, tea, soda, water. Oh, Joy is here. Good morning. Good morning. You're not late. You're good. Good morning. Awesome. Joyce, good morning to you. Okay, and Connie, good morning. Oh, righty. Oh, you're bringing the puppy to the vet this morning. Okay. No worries, Connie. Got to get the puppy to the vet. She's got to have her little shots or a little checkup. Make sure the puppies are all good. Aren't they adorable? Okay. All righty. You've been searching for the Posh Santa fabrics. It's awesome. Well, that's great. Well, check around your stash, see if you can use up anything from there first, okay? All right, let's get to the toast, okay? So go ahead and raise your glass to whatever it is you have in the morning. Again, there's no judgment here. Let's just have a toast, just having an awesome day. Why not, right? I mean, it's Thursday. We got to get through Thursday and we're getting closer to the weekend. So I hope you guys get a little bit of time in your craft room today. So raise them nice and high. And if you don't have a glass, don't worry. I will pour you a cup and it'll be something nice and warm to keep you nice and toasty. Alrighty, little swivel here. Oh boy. Coffee, coffee, yes. A lot of people, oh, it's apple juice. Very good, Leslie. I'm gonna have another swivel here. Okay, oh, that feels good. You get a little thirsty in the morning, right? And especially when you're doing a lot of talking. Okay. All right, so we've got a little toast. Let's go grab some snacks and get ourselves settled. Today we're gonna have a little trip over to our snack shack type of thing. It's a beach day for us today. So let's kind of go over there, but guys, don't get into the water because it's a little chilly in the water. Okay, so let's head on over and get some snacks. I know you guys get lots of hungry. Don't forget, don't feed the dolphins here. You may not want to get in that water because it is a little bit chilly, but we've got everything at the beach for you and it'll keep you nice and toasty. We've got all kinds of snacks and goodies and cookies and croissants and all kinds of fun things that you can have in the morning. And of course, if you want just a little healthy shake, we've got that carrots and kale for you too. And of course, we've got a couple of little extra items like donuts, cookies, and muffins that our doggy and cat are gonna give us. All right, so hope you had your little giggle for the morning. Let's get going because we've got a lot to do. I hope you're in a safe place to watch or a nice little cozy place because you got your coffee. Oh, toes in the sand with coffee in hand. Awesome. Yes. Soak it in. Get nice and toasty, okay? Awesome. Yay. All righty. Okay, I guess you guys have a lot of fun with that. You're dancing with your coffee, Faker McFake. Awesome. Well, we've got the music for that, right? So why not? Okay, awesome. Great. Wonderful. Let's get started here today. So if you haven't been tuning in, we are working on the Posh Santa, and that is a pattern that requires the QCR Mini curved ruler. And we've used the ruler before with a book, but now we are using with the pattern. It's a little bit more complex a pattern, but as I read more and more into it, and you know, it's complex, but not really complex. If you're able to follow the directions and just really pay attention to the directions and underline key points, you should be just fine. So we went through a couple of tricky little areas yesterday. I have one more area that I that I wanted to just go with you, and I thought I'd just finish it up with you live. And I wanted to give you a little tip too, because I have a really dark mat here, and sometimes it's pretty tricky when you have dark fabrics with a dark mat and you're trying to find the point with your ruler. And so what I ended up doing, I took one of my comic boards that I use to kind of fold my fabric, but you can basically use any white or light background, piece of cardboard, piece of paper even, anything that is light, right? And just put it down and then just do your cutting with that. So if I'm looking at a dark piece of fabric, as you can see here, I'll show you on here. This one's not too bad because you've got a nice contrast, but sometimes it is a little difficult to see, even if it's red or if it's black. But if I had something like this gray over here, let me move these back over. If I had like a gray, it can be a little bit difficult to kind of see it. Sometimes it's not as off, you know, the colors are not as offset as you'd like them to be for you to be able to see. And some people may struggle a little bit trying to find that. So what you can do is get a contrasting cardboard or paper. So if it's a dark color, then you want to go with something light. And if it's a light color, you want to go with something dark. So just get it to offset whatever the color fabric is that you're doing. And then use that to kind of just put over your ruler, right? And then once you have that in place, if you have a little piece of fabric or something sticking out, you can kind of slide it out from underneath. Or if you're using a paper, right, and you may want to just kind of do something. Let's say you're trying to get a little corner, a little tip right here. You don't have to put the whole thing underneath, right? You just put it right here to whatever it is you're cutting, and then you just kind of slip it away and then make the cut. But if you're using paper and you don't care, you could just leave it right underneath and just cut up the paper. I mean, it's just a piece of paper that you can just, you know, replace. You can also use things like, I don't know, parchment paper, or, you know, any kind of paper that you don't mind that gets cut up if you don't want to move it from underneath. But if you do want to use like a cardstock heavy type of paper, then just put it in the corner that you are cutting till you can line it up. And then you can just kind of hold on to a piece of the fabric of whatever it is you're cutting. So again, say I'm going to cut this little point right here, and I'm going to line up my ruler to wherever it needs to be. And then once I'm ready and lined up and I'm ready to cut, I would just slip this piece away, and then I can go ahead and make the cut. As long as that fabric doesn't move and you have a hold of it underneath, you know, it makes it a little bit easier for you to see what you're cutting, right? Because you can also just then bump it up again just to make sure it didn't move, and then go ahead and make the cut. So I know for me, sometimes I struggle a little bit because of the dark mat. I do have the light side on the other side, so, you know, you can flip the mats around if your mat has two different tones on there. So just wanted to share that tip because, you know, you can struggle a little bit with that, trying to line it up sometimes. So we went ahead and we made a lot of the standard cuts that we've done before with the ruler, which is basically just putting the material right on the dotted, not dotted line, the dashes on here. And then we went ahead and we made the cut. So it was mostly something like this that we were cutting, right? And if you put this underneath the ruler, you'll see that we were just basically making the standard cut going across the slot. Some of the other pieces that we talked about asked you to go ahead and make marks on the fabrics before you made the cut. So in some places you had to cut off, and let me see, I think it was something like this, where you had to measure about 2.5 inches and about a half of an inch on the other side. So it was basically just taking your ruler at about a 1/2 inch mark, drawing a line on it, and then on the bottom of your other side of the fabric, you were going at about 2.5 inches and making a mark. And then those markings allowed you to line up the ruler on those markings so that then you could make the cut. And that's basically what we did on this one here. So it was something like this. I don't have the other side because I've already tossed it in my scrap bin, but basically that was the cut that you were making. So a little bit different because you weren't using any of these reference marks. You were strictly going against the instructions that were on the pattern that told you where to make your markings. And then you had to line up those markings on the curve to make sure you get that nice smooth cut. Okay, so that's what that instruction told you. So it was a little bit different than what we're used to seeing, where we are using the ruler as a reference point to kind of make the cuts. So in those cases, you did have to pay attention to what the pattern was saying. So just a little bit different, not too difficult. It's just needing you to read the instructions, make the markings, and just follow what they're telling you. Just trust the pattern, right? You got to trust the pattern. Okay. Then you ran into some other cuts that looked something like this, where we were basically taking the fabric and you are lining things up right sides together. So you were putting this together here. And let me just, this one's kind of hard for me to find the right side because it's white on white and they kind of both look the same on both sides. And so they're not too different. So it's, guess it's this one would be fine. Just making sure that you're right size together from there. And in this particular cut, they wanted you to line up your bottom edge of your fabric. And let me put it somewhere where you guys could see it a little better. It's on the gray there. So we wanted to line up from this bottom corner here to this top corner there. So you're basically doing a very light curve from corner to corner. Just like you were to cut on a diagonal corner to corner, you're cutting on the curve corner to corner. So you basically just take your ruler here, line up on one corner, and then line up on the second corner. And then once you have that lined up nicely, then you can go ahead and make that cut. And so let me try to move this to one side and then I'll try to do the other side. So I'll line up with one corner and then I will line up with the second corner. So there I'll have a nice smooth cut here, grab my rotary cutter and then go ahead and make the cut. Now I'm left-handed, so this cut is going to be a little awkward and hard for me. So I will have to kind of turn this and move it a little bit closer to me. And you have to kind of find an angle that works for you, right? Don't worry about lining up with the mat because you're not lining up with the mat. You're actually just lining up the ruler to the edge of the fabric. So you're not really looking at the mat. But then just kind of get it to a place where you're comfortable with and then go ahead and make that cut. And if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to stand up for this one because it makes it a little hard. I actually like it the other way. So let me just flip it. It just makes it so much easier for me. I'm left-handed, so to me, everything is kind of backwards. So it's a little awkward, but this will kind of work. And then I can just angle it this way to make it easier. There we go. That works for me. Okay, then we just pull and you're left with just this side right here. And so here, this piece, this is what I'm labeling as E, and you'll do a couple of these and then just add them to the stash. So you're gonna have to do them a number of times. Let me just move this over here. You're going to do this a number of times here. So we've got a little stack here. So just make sure that you are right sized together when you are putting this together. So I'll line up my fabrics and I just use my fingernails to scratch them so that they fall where I want them to be. And then this extra piece that got cut off, you just toss it. That's going to be part of my scraps. And yes, I am collecting quite a number of scraps for this particular project. It is using a lot of scraps, I can tell you. Okay, let's see here. Corner to corner. And try not to line it up where you first put in your rotary cutter. Try to go in a little bit and use the curve itself. It makes it a little bit easier when you do that. Okay, I think that looks good. Let's see. Okay, so we'll just cut, remove the excess, and we're left with another piece here. Okay, just one more to go. And then we're going to be ready to sew. I've got all of my other pieces cut out, and I'm going to show them to you guys all lined up. And let's see right here. Here we go. I think that looks good. Again, you have to kind of find an angle that works for you. There we go. All right. So these are all our E pieces. And so I'll just keep these all together. And as you can see here over on the side, I do have a bunch of cuts still that we haven't used. And some of these, I've just got to subcut them down, especially on the background side. The other pieces are pretty much done. Let's see, underneath here, hopefully none of them will come with the first tray. There we go. So these are just my cut up pieces, but over here, these are our pieces that are laid out. And this one's moving around on me. There we go. Let me put this one over to the side because we're not going to be using these just yet. These are what we have all laid out. And if you follow the pattern, it does tell you to lay them out in a specific order. So you could see on here, it tells you to lay them out in the order, which we've done here. And this is how you are going to now piece them together. So it's giving you like a little sample, and it tells you what needs to be aligned with what. In other words, the background fabric needs to be aligned with the hat main fabric. And then what you do is line everything up on here, and then it just makes it really simple and easy to do because you can kind of do some batch sewing now. I'm basically on step number 8 of the pattern, and it's basically telling you right now that you can go ahead and sew all of these together. This is the way you've lined it up here, allows you to kind of just go ahead, and I'll lay them out here. Well, actually, no, I won't, because then I won't have enough space. So I've laid them out here, and they're kind of on top of each other a little bit, only because I was trying to save some space. But this is what you need to sew together. These are all the different colors. Now, there is one that kind of worries me a little bit, where you have the main, the hat, where is it? Hold on. It is over here. Actually, I have this turned around. There we go. So it is the main beard and the secondary beard. I kept those colors the same. So it's really me just sewing this right back together again. It's the two fabrics, right? So I've got the main beard fabric, which is our white on white fabric. And then I have the other side, which is supposed to be the secondary beard is what they call it. I'm using the same fabric for the entire beard. So you're basically cut it, and now you're going to put it right back together. So there's no contrast here, but I think it's going to be totally fine. So we're just going to leave it like that. So this is what my layout looks like. This is everything that I've cut up, and now we're just ready to sew it. So let's get going on that. Okay. All right. I'm putting all of this over to the side here. I've got everything that I gotta lay And so right here. Oh, Cindy says, I hit the food truck 2 times this morning. Oh, Cindy. Cindy, guess you're just hungry this morning. That's all right. That's all right. We've got plenty. There's plenty going on there. And I don't know if we have any birthdays coming up here in November. So, you know, all right, let's just wake up Miss Molly here because she had her little birthday not too long ago. So she's got to wake up here. All right, we've been playing around with Miss Molly. I was playing around and changed the foot. I was doing some free motion, changed up the settings a little bit, but I think we're okay. And I got her back to just regular sewing here, so hopefully won't have any issues. But I did change up her settings just a bit. So I'm just going to grab one piece here that I know we need to sew. So I'll grab the very first one if I can get it out of here. There we go. All right, so we've got our first 2 pieces, and that is the hat and the background fabric. So these are the 2 contrasting pieces, happens to be a red and a blue. And basically the instructions here are telling you to kind of just sew it as you laid it out in the diagram. So this is basically the diagram, how everything is laid out. They want to make sure that it is right sides together with a 1/2 inch of the B fabric extending more than the A fabric with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the first fabric here, and this is A, and this will be representing B. I can grab one, there we go. And I'll put these over to the side. So we're only using these 2 pieces. Let's go ahead, see if I make some space so you guys could see. So we've got our first piece here and our second piece. Of course, they've got to be right size together, and the diagram kind of shows us a little bit of what they should look like. So right size together. So I'm turning this one over and at about a 1/2 inch, right? So I'm going to line this up with my mat on here. Okay. And then I'm just going to use my mat to guide me at that 1/2 inch mark. And I'm just going to line up the point of my fabric up against the curve right over here. So you see how that's lined up there? Let me turn it around so that you guys could see it your way. So here's the fabric all lined up, right? And then we are going to line this up a 1/2 inch down from the top, and you're going to line up your corner of the fabric to the curve of the B fabric. So fabric A, fabric B, right? 1/2 inch down of fabric B, line up the corner of fabric A to that edge of the curve of fabric B. And that's what you're going to be doing here, okay? Once you get a couple of stitches here, you're going to start stretching out fabric B. You can see we cut on the bias, so there's a ton of stretch here. So you don't want to handle this too much. You want to keep this a little bit. Let me move this over. A little bit of a glare here. It's kind of bugging me there. Okay. Let's see if I can adjust this a little bit more. All right. So if we've got this all lined up here, when you start working on this, you're going to be pulling fabric B. And as you pull it, you can see how it kind of lines up there and makes a straight line, just about, right? Almost. So that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be stretching out fabric B because you have all this bias and it's very, very stretchy. You're going to be stretching this out to form that straight line, and then at the same time you're going to be feeding fabric A, so it is going to go ahead and eat that up and join at that curve. And so that's how you're going to put that together on your machine. So let's go over to the machine and do that. So let me bring Miss Molly, wake up Miss Molly here. I think she's nice and awake now. All right. Now I moved her around, so let me just make sure I have a 1/2 inch mark. Okay. Once you got that 1/2 inch, just kind of pinch her together and bring her over to your machine. Or if you have a little measuring tape on your machine, you can go ahead and do that right on the machine. That may help as well. But I've got her lined up here. I think she's good to go. Probably got a little bit more than a 1/2 inch, but I think it's good. Then I'm going to go ahead and put her right underneath the foot and line her up against my 1/4 inch right here. Okay, I've got her all lined up here, ready to go. Grab my foot. I'm going to take a couple of stitches to anchor her down. And once I have those stitches in place, now that's anchored in. And so because she's anchored in now I'm able to kind of move things around. So I can grab fabric B, that's my background fabric, the blue fabric, and I'm going to go ahead and start not pulling it so much, but just kind of moving it over so that it's lined up on that 1/4 inch seam line. So this is my diagonal tape. I've got my 1/4 inch line all the way here. So I'm going to keep her lined up as best as I can on this line. So I'll keep this finger down holding her, and then I'm going to take my top fabric and I'm going to try to keep lining her up. So on here, I'll have my thumb underneath and I'll just keep lining her up. And you're going to do this in pieces. This is not a type of sew that you're just going to sew the whole thing. You're going to do this in piece. So I have everything lined up all the way up to where my finger is holding. So that is all I'm going to sew, is just right up to there. And then I'm going to adjust again. Okay, so once again, lined up on that diagonal seam tape, 1/4 inch line, line up my top fabric to meet that, and then just hold her down and then go ahead and sew. Okay, and there we are. And so now keep doing the same thing, line her up and grab another little chunk. You're not going to be able to do the whole thing, so don't try to do the whole thing. Just try to do this in pieces. This is not designed as a race. It's not a rush. You're just doing it in pieces. Okay. And you're just going to keep lining up. I am not looking at the needle. I'm not worried about this here. I'm just focused on my diagonal seam tape and making sure that I am lining this up. So now it's going to get even more difficult because I'm getting towards the end. So I'm going to go even shorter. And then just continue to line up. And then here we go. Now it starts to get a little easier because now you're kind of past that really curvy area. So you're starting to get into that straighter area. So it makes it a little easier here. And so you can keep sewing and then just finish her off. And in order to finish her off, you may want to use a stiletto, a chopstick, whatever it is that you need to kind of keep it on the very edge. I'm going to do this in 2 motions, so I'll wait to show you that part here. So let me just hold that. We'll do it up to there. And then here we go. Now it's really tough because you don't have a lot to hold on to. So this is where the chopstick, the stiletto, whatever it is that you have, you know, try to hold on to that very edge and keep those edges together and then just feed it through. Okay. Then go ahead and take it off. And there you go. You've got your nice curve with your 1/4 inch seam. Okay. And if you turn it around, you'll see the fabric is kind of standing up on its own, right? It totally stands up on its own. And the seam allowance is already naturally wanting to go on the inside. And that's exactly where we want it to go. So you see how that kind of stands up nicely like that? Makes it very easy for you to make this curve. And look at that beautiful curve. Let's take a look on the dust cam. Bring this over. And you can see here on the dust cam, oops, there we go. What a beautiful curve that is. Absolutely perfect. It really makes a beautiful curve. If I were to try to do this on my own, like manually, like it would be really difficult for me to do. Now, you could probably grab 2 pieces of fabric, maybe take a little, a mug or something and draw a line and then sew on that line and then take some scissors and cut at that 1/4 inch seam. That's one way of doing it if you wanted to do it without a ruler of some sort. But this rig really helps you to make really nice curves, and I think it's beautiful. And I like how the seam allowance makes it just perfect, and how it kind of just wants to go ahead and already lay flat. And so you won't get all of those little puckers or anything like that. So let's go ahead and iron this really quick so I can show you how flat this will come out to look like. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in and get this going. Got my little mini iron and my mini ironing board. I know a ton of you people keep asking me about these mini ironing boards. I'm going to have to give Dawn a call from Sarasota Sews. That's where I got it from. I don't know if it was a little couple that was making this for her. It was a little elderly couple. I believe she still has them, but when she gets them, like they sell out so fast, like she can't keep them in stock. So I have to check, because I think at one point she said he was going to stop making them, and I don't know now if they still are. The last time I checked, they still had them. But they go so fast, you know, because they're just like the perfect size, and I love the thickness of it, you know. They really do great job. Okay, let's see. Iron is nice and hot here. Now, remember, we were working on the bias. This is very stretchy. You don't want to do any pulling or tugging on this, because you don't want to distort your fabric. So we are not ironing this piece and going all over the place. We are just pressing the pieces, right? Now, you can start in the back. It's totally up to you. Matter of fact, why don't we do that? We'll go ahead and start on the back. And I'm just going to put my iron down on the seam right here. I just want to flatten that out. That's all I want to do, because the piece is basically ironed already. But I don't want to distort this, so I don't want to iron everywhere. I just want to press where I need to go. So let's go ahead and just put it down on that seam allowance and just let the heat do its thing. You don't even need a clapper. That was the fun part on this. It was like, wow, it lays so nicely. I didn't even need a clapper because it just was so flat. So here's that side, and then I'm just going to flip it over. Here we go. And I'm just going to lay it back down, and I will let it sit for a minute, let the heat absorb and do its thing. Okay. And then you have a really beautiful, nice, flat curve. Isn't that gorgeous? And look at the back. It's nice and flat. No puckers, no nothing. Really gorgeous curve. So this part is all done. And now you just kind of repeat motion, right? You're just going to repeat these for all of the pieces here. And you'll continue to do that. And you're already almost halfway there. Once you are done sewing these pieces together, I mean, this thing just comes together so quickly. But we'll do one more for you. Let's just do, actually, we'll do 2 more. We'll do 2 more so we can finish up this stack. Okay, and I'll put this to the side. Here's that one. Okay. So we'll do 2 more, and then I want to kind of show you some more difficult ones that they have that you'll need to put together. But it's all about repetition. It's all about practice, and you will get this in no time. So now we're going to be also, another thing is we're going to be trimming this down, and there's a next section because first was the section of just cutting all your fabrics and then doing all the cuttings with the rulers. This next section is all about the piecing and piecing the curves all together. After that, they call it square up, which is basically just squaring it up, right? You're just cleaning it up, and you're going to be getting rid of all of these pieces that we don't need. And so you're going to be left with some nice clean squares. And then we're just going to be making the eyes, the nose, and then putting the whole thing together. So, I mean, that's how quickly this thing goes. So once you have one piece ready to go, I'm going to go ahead, just put it back on my board here so I don't lose track of it. And then I'm going to go ahead with the second piece. And so, of course, on that second piece, you just keep it on this side here. Again, you're going to do right sides together. Don't forget that, because you can sew it the wrong way if you don't do right sides together. And then go ahead and find that 1/2 inch mark, line it up, and bring it over to your sewing machine. Okay, once you got that in place, bring it on over, and we'll be ready to sew. I'm going to line this up right underneath. Whoop, let me bring the sewing machine back over towards me. Kind of bumped it out of place there a little bit. There we go. Okay, again, lining it up on that 1/4 inch seam and taking the first couple of stitches just to line it up. And I like to do needle down just to hold that in place. Even though the feet dogs will hold it for me, I like the needle down. It just gives me that reassurance that it's not going to move on me. And again, line it up as best you can, right? As best you can there. And then go ahead and sew. And just keep pausing and realigning it together. There we go. All in little chunks and pieces. So what are you guys up to? Let me know. What projects are you working on? If you have anything that you are struggling with, any patterns, any questions, please let me know in the chat. I'd like to help out if I can. And then I will grab, got my little wooden stick. I have a stiletto back there, but wood stick works just fine, right? Okay. All right, yet another curve. Looks fantastic. Oh, Gloria says she cut her pieces yesterday and did sew a couple. I pressed those and distorted the fabric. Oh, I'll try again today, just at the seam like you did. I bet it turns out better. Yes, thanks for the tips. No worries, Gloria. Yeah, you have to be very careful once you've cut like fabrics. That's why I tell you guys, try not to handle it too much. You know, try to put it in a place where you don't have to move it around very much, because this bias right here, very, very stretchy, very easy to distort, very easy. And so you have to be very careful with that. Once you cut it, just keep it in on one side and then try not to handle it very much. Okay, keep this to an area where it's not going to be moved around as much. And then once you sew this back in place, it's a little bit more stable, but you can still do a lot of distorting here. So you have to be very careful with that. And so the seam itself naturally wants to move towards the inside, which is perfect. That's what we want. And we're just going to help it along. We're not going to do any pulling or tugging, and you're not ironing. Right? We are not moving the iron all around all over the place. You have to keep it very exact to where you want to press. Oh, you're welcome, Lily. Thank you for such great tips and explanation. Well, you're welcome. And you know, thank you guys for being here, because you guys keep me on my toes here. All right, so I've got my piece here again. It's super important. I like to, you know, turn it on this side. Let's start off with this edge here to make sure that this lays nice and flat. Naturally, it already is on that curve and wants to bend that way, right? You see how this is already bending here. We're not moving anything else around. So you're just pressing. You're just going over to the seam allowance and just drop your iron down. Okay, just let it sit there and let the heat do its thing. It will lay nice and flat. Your hand stitching, you didn't hit the food truck 2 times. Oh, your hands were busy, so limited chatting. No worries, Cindy. You can hit the food truck 100 times if you want. It's all good. You're working on the Kimberbell Nativity bench pillow. Oh, I'm not skilled enough for curves. Oh, let me tell you, I was afraid of curves, but the ruler has really helped out a lot. I can tell you that. It has really, really helped a lot. And, you know, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, and I did. So it is really nice. You just finished embroidering your family's Christmas sweatshirts. Awesome. Oh my God, that's so much fun. We do Christmas aprons. And I've got those ready to go. So those are going to be fun too. All right, so we've got this laid down. Again, I'm not pressing the whole thing. Now, let's say, I forgot who it was that said that it warped on them. No worries about that. You may, depending how badly it's warped, you may want to be able to still use that, because remember, we still have to square these up. Okay, let's see, I think it was Gloria. Yeah, I think it was Gloria that distorted it. So when you get to the step where you're squaring things off, you may still be able to save it a little bit. Depends how badly it is. But if that's the case, wait until you get to that step and try to square it off and see if you can still save it. Okay, but once I have that ironed on one side, again, I'm not moving the iron all the way around. I'm just pressing right on that seam, and I'm letting the heat of the iron soak into the fabric and really nail this down. And so I don't move the iron around because I don't want to stretch any of the fabric. I just want to solidify that seam to go where I need it to go. And so the heat of the iron will do that work for me. If you have a clapper, even great. You can put the clapper on top. But now you can see here. See how flat that is? Gorgeous. And then here is the back, laying nice and flat. No puckers or any of that. So it's great. And this one is now ready to go for me to trim and square off. And so when we square this off, we're going to be lining this up, and these little tips here will go off. And if you distorted it a little bit, when you square it off, you may be able to still save it a little, because maybe you can trim off some of the pieces as you're squaring, and that piece that's distorted may just be cut off and discarded anyway. So you'll have to kind of see how it goes. It depends, you know, how distorted it really is. All right, so let's get this last one done, because I want to get to one more piece. Again, right sides together at the 1/2 inch mark, keeping that nice and together, and bringing that over to my machine so I can line it up underneath the foot. And then just do a couple stitches. Okay, scoot this over towards me a little bit. And again, stretching, or not stretching, just lining up my bottom fabric. If I don't have to stretch it, and that could be where you distorted it as well. If you pull on this a little too hard, you can stretch that out. I'm trying not to. I'm just simply laying this right across. At some point, yes, I will have to stretch it a bit, but I'm trying to not stretch out as much as I can. And by working into little tiny pieces, you know, and just lining it up, that will help you not to stretch that fabric. So try not to stretch it if you don't have to. At some point you will have to stretch it, but just try to do as little as possible. Okay, and then just take it into little chunks. And here, now it's starting to, now I'll have to stretch it because I'll have to pull it so that it lines up a little bit here. And remember that lining up on that tape, it may not be perfect, right? You may get some little pieces here and there, but don't worry about that. Okay, you're getting towards that bottom piece. And then you just kind of keep going. And this last part is always the difficult one for me because I have to grab my little chopstick. And Leslie gave me some chopsticks when I went to Virginia. So I used them a lot. So thank you, Leslie. And I hold that down with my finger and then with the chopstick. And here we go. Saves my fingers, right? Okay. No, it didn't cut that bottom. Let me just grab my scissors here. Didn't want to cut that bottom bobbin for some reason. Whoops. Something going on there. Okay. Let's see. All right. So here we are again. Got our nice little piece here curving over to the side. You guys can see that, how it kind of stands up on its own. Just going to grab my iron and reinforce that by just putting it right on that seam allowance and letting it sit. Oh, you were able to square it up, but you wish you hadn't distorted it so badly. Yeah. Yeah, that's, you got to practice, practice, practice. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. And that's okay, because that's why I wanted to start with that other pattern. The other pattern really just had this. This is all we were doing, right? This pattern has a lot of different types of curves that we're joining, and the way we're joining them, and they're all just a little bit different. So it's a little bit more difficult, but the concept is kind of the same, right? So just practicing and getting those curves together it's, you know, it takes some time, but it's really not too bad. Once you get it, you get it. And so there, once again, nice and flat, beautiful curve. Okay, so let's put this to the side because, woof, that iron gets hot. All right, so we've got these over to the side, and then we're just going to continue to do this for all these other pieces here. Okay, these are all going to be done the same way. I've already got one section done here, so I'll continue to go down the line and do all of these and sew them all together till we get them to this stage right here. And then we're going to be ready to square these off tomorrow. I'll probably start squaring them off and leave a couple so that I can do them with you guys, and this thing just comes together, because it'll be exciting to kind of lay them out. Once we have them all trimmed off, then we can kind of lay this out and you can see how it's going to get put together. So it's pretty neat on that. All right, so I wanted to kind of show you another piece, because in the other section, we do have some of these other pieces here that we have cut out and we still have not used. Now I labeled them C, D, and then the E part are the ones that we just finished off this morning. And those get put together just a little bit differently. So let me pull this to the side a little bit. And let's work with C and E. Okay, those are the first two sections we're going to work with here. And the pattern tells you that you'll need to grab your C, right? And you've got a longer cut because we measured in at about, I think it was 2.5 inches and then about 1/2 inch on this side. So we've got the longer piece on the top, right? So the top is facing me. And then I have the shorter piece here on the bottom. You want to take, and I'll just grab this one here, if I can grab it. There we go. You're going to take one of your E pieces and you're going to flip it over, and you're basically going to line it up at the 1/4 inch mark. So similar to how we were doing these, we were lining it up about a 1/2 inch down and then we were sewing it. On this particular piece, you're going to be lining it up at the 1/4 inch mark. And that 1/4 inch mark is going to serve where you're going to start to line up with this curve right here. And it's going to be very similar to what you did with the other piece. You're going to just go ahead and sew this together where this curve gets put together here. And that's going to be your one piece. And this is going to be your hat trim. No, I'm sorry. This is going to be your face. This fabric was for the face, and then fabric C was for the hat trim. So those are the two pieces that I'm putting together here. And you're just going to make a couple of those. And so just make note, because there's two different pieces that you're going to be doing for this. One of them is going to be at that 1/4 inch mark, and the second one is going to be at the 1/2 inch mark. So you're going to do two separate ones, right? One at the 1/4 inch, and then you're going to do a second one very similar, but it's going to be at the 1/2 inch. Okay, so your 1/2 inch is going to be up on the top. And then you're going to take your second piece of fabric, and you're going to line it up an opposite way. You're going to be lining it up this way. See the difference between the two? Okay, you've got the bottom of this fabric right here, this E fabric, lined up at the 1/4 inch mark of this curve. And then on this one, you're taking the top point of your E fabric and lining it up here at the 1/2 inch mark of this fabric here. Okay, so it's very, very tricky. You could get a little bit confused on here. So make sure that you are lining it up the correct way and using the correct fabrics, because that can kind of throw you off a little bit. And you're just doing one of each. So I just wanted to point that out, because if you kind of think it's just, oh, it's, if you read the very first one and you look at the first picture, oh, it's just a 1/4 inch, and you just go ahead and move forward. But it's actually different. You have to pay attention to the orientation of the fabric, because you can make that a little bit, if you end up doing this, you're doing it wrong, right? You do have to make sure that your orientation is correct when you're sewing this along this curve. Okay, so pay attention to the illustrations. They do help you out on the pattern. Do you always sew with the curved piece on top, the one without the corner? Yes, so far in the pattern, I have always served with this curved piece on the top here. So this is the curved piece. This is kind of like the inside of the curve. I don't even know what you would call this, right? But you always want to do this one on top, because this here on the bottom is what you're going to use to align to that. When you're on your sewing machine, you want to make sure you align that straight. So yeah, you're always going to do that. That way you have the ability to maneuver the bottom fabric to make sure that you are following that straight line. Great question. Okay, guys, we are out of time. Let's go really, really quickly to our inspirational quote of the day. Okay, so today's quote of the day is, Each version of a technique adds another tool to a growing creative toolbox. And that's exactly what we like to do, is build up our skills, working with curves, looking at patterns, and seeing how things are done differently. So I hope you guys really enjoyed the tips. Please go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you did. And go ahead and have a great time today, and get into your sewing room. You know, use the time to just kind of practice and get some of those skill sets in. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's show. Thank you so much for all of your support. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.